The tribunal chamber did not echo. That was the first thing Elias Rain noticed, how a space so vast, ringed by creatures of impossible design and rank, could absorb sound like a grave. Not even the tapping of his boots on obsidian glass made a noise. It was designed to swallow voices, to humble the accused. He walked anyway, straight-backed, eyes forward, suit pressed despite the 40-hour journey from Earth's outer colonies. The Earth delegation followed behind him, silent, pale, too nervous to meet the alien gazes raining down from the dome's tiers. Elias stepped into the center circle. The trial halo flared around his feet in cold white light. The room stirred, like an old creature waking up to sniff its next meal. Above him, the chief arbiter spoke. "Commander Elias Rain," came the voice of Vorthak of the Krell Dominion, more hiss than tone. "Human representative of Earth's colony New Thessalonica, accused of biogenic annihilation of the Saraxi settlement under Compact Code 784B. Do you kneel before this tribunal?" Elias didn't blink. "I do not kneel." Gasps flickered like static across the chamber. Dozens of species turned their heads. Some clicked in amusement. Others watched in growing distaste. Vorthak leaned forward. A being of coiled limbs and fan-like facial tendrils, he wore ceremonial armor crusted with dried jewel bloods. "Your kind is entertaining. You imagine defiance is a strength. You imagine defiance changes verdicts." "No," Elias said. "But the truth might." A pause. Then laughter, rippling, alien, sharp and low. Some of it sounded like laughter. Some of it didn't. One delegate emitted smoke from her skin as she cackled. Another twitched in place, laughing by vibrating its bones. Elias stood through all of it. Beside the bench, Earth's official ambassador, Dre Orlan, whispered hoarsely. "You were supposed to submit the prepared statement. The tribunal's already ruled. They're just waiting for a signature. They're waiting for a performance," Elias replied without looking at him. "So I'm giving one." Vorthak's laughter quieted first. His voice dropped into condescension, slithering down the speaker channels like a fog. "Speak, then. You may have this session. 1 hour. 1 failure. No appeals." Elias nodded. "Before I speak to the charges, I'm invoking Compact Law Clause 8.11. Access to pre-incident tribunal surveillance, species-independent records. Specifically the New Thessalonica Sector 3 orbital feed, Day 7, Cycle 14. Another pause. That made them uncomfortable. Vorthak straightened. "No representative has invoked that clause in over a century. It's still in your laws," Elias said. A low, discontented murmur passed through the delegates. Vorthak exchanged glances with a thin, shell-backed creature 3 seats to his left. Then, "Request granted. With stipulation. No additional media will be allowed. No holographics." "I didn't ask for holographics," Elias replied. "Just the truth." At the console built into the Halo's base, Elias keyed in an access string burned into his memory. A single still image appeared on the dome's inner surface, rotating slowly, silently. The Saraxi settlement. Peaceful. Pre-collapse. Organic structures fused with crystal veining, alive and well. Elias turned toward the audience. This was before the humans ever landed. Before any biosigns entered the atmosphere. As you can see, their biosphere was already decaying. Look here, fading spectral bloom on the eastern perimeter. A known sign of gene rot. Their own DNA was rejecting their biome. Vorthak interrupted. "You are not a biologist, Commander." "I'm a soldier," Elias said. "And I know a cover-up when I see one." The silence that followed fell deeper than space. A voice from the second tier, lean, unfamiliar, voice box clicking, asked, "Are you implying the Saraxi caused their own extinction?" "No," Elias replied, locking eyes with the speaker. "I'm saying they did." Gasps again. This time there was no laughter. From the human delegation's rear, a small voice rose, barely audible. "My father told them it wasn't us," said Lorkai, the Saraxi hybrid child sitting 2 seats from the end. She was thin, cloaked, eyes reflecting blue and green. He died 3 weeks later. I wasn't allowed to bury him. The chambers shivered with the weight of that sentence. Elias turned, his voice softer now. Laura's father was a Saraxi researcher who submitted multiple genetic failure reports to their High Council, reports later redacted. His autopsy showed biotoxin in his blood. He was silenced. Vorthak rose slowly. This is conjecture. Sentimentality. You waste our time with stories. No, Elias said. I'm building context. That's what tribunals are for. You deal in evidence, I'll bring it. You will bring nothing, Vorthak said coldly. Your time is nearly expired. Your people are out of their depth. I'm not done, Elias said. Calmly. Coldly. You think I came here to prove innocence. But I'm here to expose guilt. That shut the arbiter up. Elias tapped one final command. The dome flickered, shifted to a second still frame, one taken 3 weeks after the supposed human attack. But the timestamps were altered. Only by cross-referencing 2 minor satellites did Earth analysts uncover the truth. The attack had never occurred. The Saraxi had destroyed their own valley. Elias pointed upward. If Earth is guilty of anything, it's of being blamed while the Saraxi cleansed a failure of their own design. Vorthak's voice grew venomous. You dare stand here and accuse a compact founding species of self-inflicted genocide? I do, Elias said. Because they buried their dead. We brought ours here to speak. He turned to Laura again, and this time, the girl stood on her own. I never belonged, she said, voice cracking but steady. My father tried to tell the truth. So they made us ghosts. I'm tired of being silent. The room held still. Even the predators among them, those who fed on fear, watched her now, uncertain. Vorthak's tendrils shifted slowly. 1 hour is up. Elias nodded. Then we're just getting started. The tribunal reconvened under heavy silence. Gone was the mockery. Gone were the performative chuckles from the gallery. The laughter had dried up like vapor in vacuum. Elias' reign stood again in the halo, but this time the air felt heavier, as if the chamber itself had grown weary. Chief Arbiter Vorthak reclined with feigned indifference, yet his fingers twitched across the obsidian rail of his platform. His voice, when it came, was almost lazy. You presented claims, not proof. The compact does not condemn civilizations based on orphans and optical illusions. Elias didn't flinch. Then let's move to proof. He tapped the panel at the halo's core. A sharp chirp echoed. The dome dimmed. A new image unfurled, a schematic overlay of Saraxi atmospheric data, time-stamped 3 days before the alleged biogenic incident. The decay wasn't introduced by foreign agents, Elias said. It began within the Saraxi ecosystem itself. This spike here, he gestured at a sharp uptick in chromatic decay, is consistent with a Class 3 reverse genomic cascade. That only happens when a designed biosphere is forcibly overwritten by native DNA. A failed terraforming algorithm, whispered someone in the second tier. No, Elias corrected. A weaponized one. Vorthak's eyes narrowed. That is a severe accusation. It should be, Elias said. Because the Saraxi were cleansing their own settlement. Their government couldn't control a growing caste rebellion, so they activated a biological kill switch designed centuries ago, one that was meant to sterilize dissenters. But it mutated. Instead of purging rebels, it erased every Saraxi gene on the continent. Murmurs rippled outward, restless, disturbed. Elias glanced to Laura Kai, seated behind protective shielding now, flanked by 2 Earth officers. She met his gaze with trembling resolve. A nod. Bring up the black box, Elias said. The tribunal froze. That phrase was not theatrical. It was judicially lethal. Earth's intelligence division had intercepted a lost Saraxi drone 6 weeks ago. Buried beneath mountains of corrupted data, they'd uncovered its audio core. What it recorded hadn't been meant for any court to hear. Vorthak stood abruptly. You are not permitted to introduce unregistered artifacts, Elias calmly replied. Compact Law, Article 12b. Any recording captured within a system under legal investigation may be submitted without prior disclosure if its origin is verified under oath. The oath had been filed 2 hours before Elias entered the chamber. The audio began. The voice was Saraxi. Cold. Authoritative. Unmistakably military. Initiate bloom suppression. Let them blame the humans. They're loud. Let the tribunal burn their children instead of ours. The room didn't move. Even the Arbiter's inner council, normally unreadable, sat in stunned stillness. Elias let the words hang like smoke. This was recorded 3 days after the Saraxi government activated the virus. The target was never Earth. The target was plausible deniability. Vorthak's jaw flexed. You claim to care about law, and yet you smuggle audio obtained through espionage? Elias's voice dropped a tone. I care about justice. And you, your court, has tried to bury it since the moment Earth was named. You accuse the tribunal itself? Vorthak's voice thundered. No, Elias said. I accuse you. He turned toward the assembled judges, his voice sharpening into a blade. Ask yourselves, when was the last time any founding species stood trial in this chamber? When was the last time a voice like Laura's was allowed to speak without being labeled a traitor? How many more lives were deleted, scrubbed, lost in the name of maintaining galactic order? One of the Insectoid members buzzed. If what you say is true, the tribunal has been compromised. No, Elias said. The tribunal was built to contain chaos. But you let fear rewrite its laws. And you let Vorthak write the rest. Gasps. One alien, a stone-skinned delegate from the Shaluum Reach, stood in protest, then slowly sat back down. It wasn't support. But it wasn't dismissal either. Elias's breath caught for a moment. Something stung at his throat. A strange sharpness. Metallic. He staggered. The human delegation moved forward, but he raised a trembling hand. No, stay back. His knees buckled. Blood welled from his nose. His vision flickered. He recognized the symptoms. Absorbed toxin, nanofragmented. A saboteur. Vorthak's smirk was subtle. Calculated. Perhaps the stress of lying overwhelms you, Commander. Elias wiped the blood away with the back of his hand. No, he growled. But the cost of truth might. He forced himself upright, gripping the halo's edge, breath short. You poisoned me, and still couldn't stop what's coming. He turned, voice growing ragged but louder. I call for invocation of Compact Article 49. The chamber erupted in confusion. Vorthak's voice cracked. That article has not been invoked since the Varnak trials, Elias finished. It compels all voting members of the tribunal to vote on immediate release of sealed war crime archives relating to biological warfare within the past 300 cycles. That would expose dozens of governments. One voice cried out. Exactly, Elias said. Let justice be equal. The halo flared bright. The AI core recognized the legal call. Protocols initiated. A countdown appeared above the chamber. Galactic Tribunal Vote 059. Delegates stared. Others whispered urgently in their private comms. No one knew what to do. No one expected a human, a Deathworlder, to pull the oldest, most dangerous lever in galactic law. Vorthak leaned over his dais. You will not survive this. Elias met his gaze, steady even in agony. I didn't come to survive. He looked at Laura. I came so she could. Silence blanketed the tribunal chamber. A silence so complete it felt like the galaxy had stopped spinning. Above the obsidian floor, the vote timer glowed. 00:03 00:02 00:01. It vanished. In its place, a verdict emerged. Compact Article 49 passed. 173 AYE, 51 NY, 9 abstained. A soundless shockwave rippled through the gallery. Every delegate, every species, every ancient envoy understood what had just happened. The sealed war crimes vault, the one none dared open for 3 centuries, would now be laid bare across galactic records. Biological weapons, state-sanctioned genocides, civilizations erased in silence. And it had taken a human to do it. Elias Rain didn't smile. He was barely conscious. Blood stained the front of his shirt, sweat beading down his pale forehead as 2 Earth medics stood ready but hadn't moved, waiting for the Arbiter's permission, which had not come. Chief Arbiter Vorthak rose slowly. Not with fury. Not even with resistance. His voice, when it came, was soft. Almost thoughtful. You've poisoned the tribunal, human. Elias rasped. No. I held up a mirror. Vorthak's gaze scanned the stunned chamber. Some of his closest allies, delegates from the Cyric Concord, the Frostworn Compact, even the warlike Drenethi, sat frozen, eyes wide, silent. Trust had been shaken. His alliances cracked. His voice turned bitter. You've undone thousands of cycles of balance. All for a single world. Elias coughed hard, then looked up through blurred vision. Not just for New Thessalonica. For everyone who ever got blamed for what the powerful were too proud to confess. He finally sank to one knee, not in submission, but from sheer physical collapse. The medics rushed forward. Lorelei was already at his side. She grabbed his hand. Don't close your eyes, she whispered. You have to see them change. He opened one eye, just enough to watch. The tribunal doors opened. 2 Shaluim guards escorted a tall, silver-clad alien, Saraxi High Executor Marsuruin, to the halo. His expression was unreadable. His robes, uncharacteristically plain. Vorthak stared in disbelief. This is not your jurisdiction. Not today, Marsuruin said coldly. But it soon may be. He turned to the halo, bowed toward Elias's slumped body, and spoke. The Saraxi formally retract all accusations against the human colony of New Thessalonica. We recognize the missteps of our past leadership, and accept responsibility for our biological oversight. The tribunal may pursue charges against those found culpable. A second wave passed through the chamber, not shock this time. Ah. Vorthak's composure cracked. You coward! You throw your ancestors into fire to appease the apes. No, Marsuruin said. We just learned how to listen to one. Elias awoke in the infirmary 12 hours later. He didn't move at first. Breathing hurt. His throat burned. But a monitor chimed nearby. Human tech. Soft light. Familiar air. Then a voice. They're calling it the day of reversal. He turned his head. Ambassador Dre Orlan stood beside the bed, eyes puffy but smiling. You did it, Dre said. You didn't just clear our name. You rewrote galactic law. Elias croaked. Still don't want to be a politician. You may not have a choice. Footsteps entered. Lorelei walked in, cloaked no longer, head high, eyes full of tears. She didn't say anything. She simply sat beside him and held his hand. 3 days later, Elias stood again. Still weak, still limping, but whole. He wore his uniform, creased and patched, and walked with the help of a single polished cane. The tribunal chamber had emptied. The crowd had gone. But the impact remained. Some species had called Earth dangerous. Others now called it essential. An emergency vote installed new oversight panels. The Krell Dominion's influence was fractured. Investigations into tribunal corruption had begun. And Elias? He declined every offer for a permanent position. I came to speak, he told them. Not to stay. But before he left, he stood once more before the halo and addressed those who remained, delegates, students, observers. You feared us, he said. Because we came from a world that kills. Because we adapt. Because we fight. But what you never understood is this. He tapped his temple. Humans don't survive because we destroy. We survive because we remember. We carry pain like a torch and walk forward with it. That's not savagery. That's strength. He paused. You laughed when I took the floor. And maybe you'll laugh again. But remember this. He pointed toward the gallery. We speak now. And we're not done. As he boarded the Earth ship, the stars ahead felt different. Not friendly. Not yet. But listening. And that was enough.